Anyway, a machine came up. I looked at it and I thought, wow, this would be awesome.
Get ready for the next round.
G'day, welcome back to Spacies Arcade. Today we're going to look at a pickup with the rather unusual title that you would have seen, 100 balls a minute. 100 balls a minute, what could that be? Now some of you might have thought, could be like a Williams hyperball. That thing fires out. It's got to be at least 100 balls a minute, I would say. And that is a crazy, crazy machine. And one actually I had the opportunity to pick up. There was actually, there was a beaten up one, just the main unit without the head for sale. But when I inquired about it, because there was no price, and it was a fair way away from you guys, but I thought, oh, I'll inquire and see. The guy ended up having a fully rebuilt one as well. So this was sort of like the parts, like a spare that he'd used to build up his cab. And so I did ask the question, well, what are you doing with the other one? And he said, well, you know, I could sell that on too, I guess. So he gave a price, and it was too high. It wasn't, yeah, it was probably much too high in reflection. At the time I was pretty excited about it, so I was sort of like, oh yeah, that seems fairly reasonable, but I wanted to come down a little bit. So I put an offer in, and he rejected it, and I sort of was like, yeah, if I don't get it, I don't get it. It was going to be either a 6-hour each way round trip to pick it up, because it was down in Albany, which is right down the south of the state, or I'd have to organise it to be packed up, and it'll be 2 machines. Going from there to Perth wouldn't be so much, but again guys, it'll just start up in the price. So that passed. And it's a bit of a shame because it's quite a unique item, but I think that's the sort of machine that you really want in a much larger collection. Of course, I've got a much smaller collection now, and really only the space for a small collection. So I'm sort of pleased that passed me by. Well, what happened after that? And I must admit, I played a little bit of that because it's actually available on Visual Pinball 10. So if you want to check that out, you can download it and play Hyperball. I think Bally had Rapid Fire was their answer to that. It actually sold really poorly back in the day. It was supposed to be the next best thing after pinball, once video games were really encroaching in on the scene. But no, it didn't turn out that way. So yeah, what happened after that? Well, I still, you know, it was the novelty thing was still pretty cool, and it was at the back of my mind. But I'd parked it. And I started looking around the arcade, and I didn't like the section that you're seeing behind me here now, which you may have pointed out, or may have pointed out, I'm pointing it out. You may have noticed that it looks a little different. We got the new seating area. There's this sort of corner area there that we set up recently, and again, it's really, really awesome to have these seats here. But one thing that was missing as I walked into the arcade was behind these 2 seats. The 2 machines that were there, no longer being there, just lowers the impact as you walk into the arcade. And there's so many other cool things in here that catches your eye. I still just love looking around and just absorbing all the nostalgia, which is what it's all about, for me anyway. But this area here was pretty bare. So what have I done since then? Well, as you can see, a few things. So I got the old circular head from that crazy arcade cabinet put up there, and you can see in the on the screen that I've got embedded in there, I've got a little Spacies Arcade video logo playing. It's pretty cool actually. It does some, it's got a little star field that just carries on behind it, and then occasionally it breaks out into different colours and stuff. It's quite subtle. So that was cool, and I sort of placed it there and I thought it looks really nice, you know, come in, the seats here, it's the little Spacies Arcade logo sort of worked pretty well. And then I had this poster put up in the corner, and that will sort of bring a little bit of the movie part into it, back into the arcade. Now we have the seats and enjoying a lot more movies. It needs to be moved over a little bit because I put up some shelves after that. And these shelves serve a couple of purposes. You can see we've got a couple of the little mini arcades set up there with Centipede and Tempest, fully playable. Love those things, eh? Like just the artwork and everything, you know, being exact to the original machines back in the day. It's just so cool. A few little Star Wars LED lighting added there. Just love my LED and my coloured lighting. The start of a mini bar. It's very, very mini. 3 bottles of alcohol there. And then I've got my Blu-ray collection, or the HD 4K Blu-rays, most of them. A few standard Blu-rays in there as well. And this is sort of serving as another little addition to this part of the arcade. I left these walls bare for a long time. Wasn't really sure what I was going to do with them, and I was sort of glad because now I've got the seating arrangement sorted out. This now works really well. These shelves, they don't come out far, so they don't sort of really impose upon you, but you can get a lot of stuff on there. So I think I'm going to keep going, add a few more shelves going up, and I've got some ideas for more things to be added. So I'm going to keep adding these little arcade machines along the side here, and it's just another awesome way of grabbing one of those, sitting on the couch and having a play. Just adds to the whole vibe of the arcade. But coming back to this side, again, I was quite happy with what I set up here, but I started flicking through eBay and I don't even know how I actually stumbled across this now. And think about it. I don't know. I really don't. Might have came up with just an arcade, or maybe I did a coin op search. Occasionally I do that. I just do a coin op, the coin operated type machine, just to sort of see if I can get something random. Anyway, a machine came up. I looked at it and I thought, wow, this would be awesome right there. But it's on the other side of the country again. In fact, further than my furthest pickup across Australia, which was the Astro City and the Sega Blast City. Those two machines came all the way over from Rockhampton, and this was further away than that. I can't even remember where now. It was far, guys. It was far. And I thought, price was reasonable, really quite rare in Australia, which is quite strange once you see it and you sort of understand where it fits in the whole gaming history. So have any of you worked it out yet? Because there's not a lot of games out there that surely are shooting 100 balls a minute. So I think there's a few of you out there that have probably cottoned on already. So what have we got? Well, let's take a look at the unboxing, because this was the hardest unboxing I have ever done in my life. And that's no joke. So I'm going to speed this sucker up and you'll see what I've got. Let's take a look. It's a pachinko machine. Pachinko machine. Wow. Okay, so these things are crazy. These are absolutely crazy machines. I have already fallen in love with this particular one, Pachinko Aquarion, and it's a deceiving machine. Actually, it's a deceiving machine. It's you think it's sort of quite simple first of all when you first look at it, but we're going to take a little bit more of an in-depth look and just see the complexity of these machines. They really are quite amazing. So before we hook in and check it out, a few things that I do want to say. I picked up a Raspberry Pi 4B, which has just been released to the market, and these are supposed to be 3 times faster than the previous Raspberry Pi 3B, which is quite some upgrade. And I didn't even have the 3B. I've just got the 3 in my machines in the Astro City, and I swap it in occasionally in the Blast City. And I'm really interested to see if that extra 3 times speed is going to really move along some of the later shooters. Some of the shooters around the 2000 mark, although I might not have the right emulator set up for some of those, but some of them are running quite slow, not quite fast enough. I reckon this guy's going to sort it out. Now, I can't run this up to show you right now because another cool addition to it is they've added 2 HDMI ports on it instead of the one that they used to have. But the 2 ports are micro HDMI, and I need to go from micro HDMI through to VGA to get it playing on the cab. So I need to get a few converters and get that sorted, but this is going to be awesome. And with those 2 HDMIs, we can expect, hopefully down the track, someone will work out how to figure out, put a marquee output out the second one, and we can have Raspberry Pi with the jammer adapter to it, which I picked up from Dylan over in the Aussie Arcade forum. It's an awesome piece of kit, and that hooks up nicely with the Pi, and that'll be awesome if it later on can support marquees as well and get a second screen in there with no computer. It's just going to be emulation heaven, and who knows what else it will be able to emulate. Well, we'll have to see down the track. So make sure you subscribe, guys, if you haven't subscribed, because that will be coming up in a future episode as we take a look at the Raspberry Pi 4. A few other things too. Just remember to come over to the Discord, Spacies Discord forum. The links are down below. We've got a number of regulars now having some crazy chats, especially over a few beers, comparing music and what we're listening to, and it's been quite a laugh with all the guys that are regularly attending on the Discord forum. So head over there, check it out. Jobber, Optimus Syme, Jace Ace, Kev A, Tiger Timmer, wow. You know who you are. Lethal, there's a few others on there that come in from time to time. Check it out, join us. Now the other thing is that I have been working on the website. I keep saying that, and it's not quite ready yet, but we are in a bit of a beta phase for the main part of the website, which will actually be the key entry point when you go to the website once it becomes fully live, and that is the Spacies Arcade forum. So that is a typical forum structure for the channel, and it's available for all of you that might be interested in having a little bit more of a chat with other friends of Spacies Arcade. So I'll let you in on a little secret how to get there while we're in this little beta testing, and by all means come on over, join up. A few things might change, and forums might disappear and come back on, and there might be a few glitches and bits and pieces while we test it out, but we've got a few Spacies regulars on there already, and they've been helping me test it out over the last couple of weeks. So there's a few posts and stuff up there. Check it out. You can get there directly by going to spaciesarcade.com/forums, and is it forum or forums? I'll put the link below. That's how new it is. Eventually, of course, the main URL will go straight there. So head on over, guys. Check it out. Help me test it, and then we'll make it live for everyone else in the next week or so. It's pretty close, pretty close. What else? Other than that, there are other things coming to the arcade. I'm in the middle now again. This always seems to be the way. It's like I've got sort of nothing immediately planned. I've got a few ideas for videos, and then suddenly I've got like 6 things, and then I'm in between them all. So it becomes a little challenging. It's like project overload. So there's a lot of cool things coming. So make sure you subscribe, and we shall now check out the new Pachinko machine. Before we do though, I want to thank these awesome people for supporting the channel. So take a look at this. Wow. It's just, it's a work of art. It is an absolute work of art. And the lighting is just crazy. I love the lighting, and it goes through so many different effects. And of course, this, you know, this was way before Pinball came out with all their lighting effects with RGB lighting. This is well ahead of the curve in terms of innovation. So what do we got here? Well, again, I'm still learning a lot about this, so excuse me if I get a few things wrong or a few assumptions I make could be incorrect, but I'll point out some obvious features of the machine first. We have the ball bearing tray here. The ball bearings come through here and flick up around the side, up around the top here. If you go too fast, they will flick all the way around and then just drain out the bottom. So the trick is that you want to do it in such a way that it comes up here and then they drop down and they hit these pins, bounce down across all these areas here, and then where you want to get it is to bounce across here and into this little cup here. And I think they call this thing this tulip underneath. Maybe that's just for certain games, but that also opens and allows balls to be collected in there as well, and then it will close periodically. How that opens and closes and on what criteria, I'm not sure, but it does do that as the game progresses. The other cool thing is that you'll get ball bearings come down and they'll hop on this top bit here and they'll roll backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards and then finally drop down, and they'll either go to the left, to the middle and into the hole, or to the right. So that's also another cool little thing when you're watching the ball bearings come down. Of course, normally what would happen in the arcade is that you would buy a whole lot of these ball bearings and you would use them and they would go into the machine, and if, you know, they didn't trigger the, well, they can trigger the thing there or just go through the bottom here, then they would actually go down. Normally they'd have a chute that would send the ball bearings off down to the down to another room where they'd be collected, and you would sort of lose that as the sort of the takings for the operator. And this machine has been set up so that the balls recycle. So I don't have to keep tipping in hundreds of balls in here. It will just recycle every ball that I get. Now the only bad thing about that, if you can call it bad, is that if you do win, then you don't get the big win payout that you would normally get with a ton of balls flying out of here when you win, which would be quite cool, actually. We'd quite like to see that, and especially sort of know how much you've won. Now, there are these battle readouts that sit on the top of the machine that you can buy separately that hook in, and those I don't believe they actually count the winnings. They have all sorts of other types of stats and stuff. Looks like a cool little addition. I might check it out at some point. So for now, yes, the ball bearings will keep going around, so it's actually really good for home use, just from the point of view of, you know, when people come over, you don't have to deal with all the ball bearings. They're still here, of course. You still access them, but that's all we need to flick that around. So that's pretty cool. What else do we have in here? Well, we have 4 lots actually of animatronic toys. So we have this one here that flicks around and sort of shakes and stuff. We have this one here that sort of comes out a little bit, it shakes, and then it will come like right out, which is really freaky, and then he goes back in. This top one, which also shakes from time to time, and then that will also comes down, and when it comes down, there's one hidden around the back there, you can see, and that thing jumps up at the same time. The two connect, and then there's a big effect on the screen behind, and it all comes together with the music and everything to really give it a pretty cool effect when you actually line up the cards to win. Now, some of these machines actually allow you to fly down the other side, so they have pins down this side as well. But of course, this one has got all these animatronics down this side, and your ball, as I said before, will just be lost over there. So it's really just playing it down this left-hand side and getting it into the hole. Now, how do you fire it off? Well, you use this control knob here to do that. And just before we talk about that, you'll see there's a tray under the tray. And that's because you get your winnings come into here, and there's a little slider thing. You can slide open, and then all the balls would drop through onto your tray if you were in the Japanese arcade, and then you literally would stack these boxes of these balls to the side. It's quite incredible. And then one thing I do need to point out is that in that amazing shipping that the guy did with the packing, unfortunately the back wood split away from the base. It actually had the power supply on it. So this is actually propped up just temporarily while I've been testing it out before I fix it to the wall. But when I fix it to the wall anyway, I'm going to remove this whole bottom plate so it doesn't stick out so much. And then we'll just have a piece of wood right from the base here to the back. Now the whole thing is, we just look around the side here, you can sort of see the sort of width. We're sort of looking, what is it? It's about a hand's worth. Yeah, maybe a little bit more to get to that back bit there. So it will stick out from the wall a little bit. Having a few in a row will probably make that less noticeable, but certainly won't impose on people's heads or anything. But look at the detail. Look at, I just love how they do all these, the lighting in there. That's so cool. Little face there with the eyes. And down the corner here, I haven't worked this out. I don't know what this is. If you guys know what it is, please let me know. But we have these row of lights. There's a 2 and there's a 15 on the last one. I don't know if that has any significance. These do light up occasionally. This has actually got a digit display, and I know I've seen it on sometimes when you do the big wins, it will show like a JU, I think it was, on the one that I saw. Otherwise it sort of rotates around and stuff when it's a normal sort of spin mode. And then we've got this here with the cross and the 0 on 2 of them, and those light up as well. I don't know if there's anything with that, any significance of it. Occasionally you get the opportunity to hit the chance button too, and again, it's all in Japanese. Not sure what the hell's going on. So I just hit it randomly and see what happens. So I really would like to know if you guys have a pachinko machine, or you have this one, or you know how these things work in relation to the chance and so forth. Please let me know. The more I can find out about this, the more I can probably enjoy the game more once I know all the little secrets. The other two things here, these two buttons in Chinese, they actually look well pressed, like they're worn around the edges. They seem to be sort of pressed in a little bit. They still are working, but I haven't seen what they do. I've tried to use them in game, tried to use them after winning like a major event, see if it sort of cancelled out the big song that it does at the end. There's a few different songs and stuff that it plays, so I don't know. And then right in the middle we have the main display, the LCD display in the back there. Pretty good quality one. In fact, it's quite bizarre because the brightness of it is such that it doesn't really stand out like it's a display. It sounds a bit odd, but it really doesn't look, you know, different to all the other moldings. But yeah, look at it. Just look at the detail in here. I know it's like a lot of plastic and stuff, but just the colouring, just all the levels of lighting, the animatronics. I think this is the thing that people miss. You know, when they look at these machines, they really just don't see the full artwork, the amount of engineering and design that's gone into making one of these machines is really something else. And the thing is that there are a lot of machines I've seen that have a very similar sort of structure, either the one side or the other side. The pins look similar in layout and stuff, and I think for the people that made this one, this is by Sankyo, and I must admit, even this is really nicely done. This changes colour, goes through all their RGB lighting effects as well. But yeah, maybe it's a certain series of theirs which I've seen, which really just changes the theme out and some of the toys, but the rest of it looks relatively similar in terms of the structure. I could be wrong there. There could be a lot more differences to that. But I think most of them sort of keep the same sort of size format as well. So I'm just going to swing this round and let's have a look at the back of it, because I just want to show you the complexity in this before we flick it on and have a game. Okay, I'm doing this one-handed, so we'll just have a quick look around the back. But you can see there is a level of complexity here. There is a stack of boards in here, cables everywhere. There's some strange, I don't know what these connectors are. Does anyone know what those connectors are? Like a whole row, tons of connectors there. And then down the bottom, there's some cabling that's all sort of undone. And there's a few cut wires there, and I don't know what they're for. Unless, again, that was part of the mechanisms for the ball returns. And also maybe for the connections through to the battle display that you can optionally stick on the top. Got a little LED there, some error display or sort of diagnostic display. Look at that. So those cables there just hanging out. I don't know why. I don't know. This is all new to me. Absolutely new to me. But I can imagine it'd be fairly interesting getting in behind one of these and trying to repair it. But like anything, once you get in there, you know, once you get in and have a crack, you can learn it. Alright, well, enough of the back. Let me flick this back around. Of course, by the way, I am in Australia requiring 240 volts, so there we do have this outside transformer, because these were straight from Japan originally would have been on 120 volts. Much like the arcade machines we get, we have to put transformers on them. Alright, let's get into some gameplay. Okay, so let's get started. So you can see the balls flying down here. Got to get it into here. There we go, there's one. And here we start. Oh, got the chance. What does this mean? And of course, you've got to get the line up of the numbers, much like a typical slot machine. And every time another ball goes in, it banks another turn. So when it finishes the turn, you don't get anything, then it will roll on again. So I've seen a few extras go in in the meantime. Now I just was holding the controller there to bring them up all at once, but you could just like flick up a couple. Well, that was too far. So if you wanted to, you could just like, that was too far. Much harder, mind you, I must admit. But you know, you can just send one down and see where it goes. You know, if that's your thing. Just missed. But clearly, given the amount that don't make it in, it's better to hold it there. Now, this is out of shot at the moment, I think, in terms of me holding the controller, but it's spring-loaded, so you actually have to hold it in position to keep the balls firing in, which I can imagine would be quite tiring in the arcades. There's got to be some sort of, someone must have made something that you can just sort of place over the top of the controller to keep it there. I think I could do it with a lackey band and a pin. Now when I first played this, I must admit, I was looking at it going, hey, this is really cool and everything. And it was like, well, what's happening? Like, it's not really getting any wins at all. And I think if I was playing this for real, I would be losing a lot of balls right now without a single win. But this is where it's cool, because when it does actually start doing something, it starts getting a little crazy. And I'll show alongside this one, the game that we're playing here, some of the stuff that I caught on my phone when I was just playing it the other night. Here we go, what's happening there? All the lights left and came back. And yeah, there's some crazy stuff that I just caught on my phone while I was playing. And it was funny because like it didn't take me that long, oh, the chance button, it didn't take me that long to get something going last time. But then I did have another game that was a little bit like this, just taking ages for anything to really come up. That's gambling, isn't it? That's gambling. Cool little wheel here too, makes it go that way sometimes, or they drop underneath. Again, we've got the lights just flashing here on those numerical LEDs. These start filling up, as I said before. Oh, there's lights up the top that fill up too. Again, I don't know if that's just for decoration or if any of that actually means anything. Again, if any of you know, please let me know. Okay. See, it's funny when it does that. It's like I don't know why it did that blank light. And now the other interesting thing is that with these with the slot area, it really seems like it's really difficult to get just a normal slot, and I don't think you can actually get that. It seems to me whenever you get a mode, I need a little bit more power. When you get into one of the modes, it sort of does a very similar thing, whereas it sort of shows you two numbers and then the third number it tries to get for you, and then you always either just miss out or you get it. And to me that's a little bit of a shame, because it's sort of like it's not quite random slots, if you know what I mean. And again, I could be wrong on that, but it just seems like you just don't sort of get three in a... I've never got like three in a row here. It's always been like two, and then it will stop and do something fancy for the third one. Getting a few balls in there. This is quite a good spot right here. This seems to be a bit of the knack of holding the controller. Hold it in just the right spot, and it seems to have good odds of getting a number of those balls in like it is now. I went over the side. Here we go, there's one. That one's gonna make it, no. So yeah, I think, you know, if you're in Japan and you're sitting playing this, and you're right in front of it and engaged, and you, oh, here we go. So this is what I mean. We get the 2 4s, and then we got nothing. It just missed it. It always just misses it when that happens. Okay, what's happening here? Here we go. We're into some sort of mode. Here we got the animatronics happening on the side here. That's where it gets exciting. We get different music. Sort of like, what is that? It's like Scottish Highland dancing. This hasn't really changed on this side. And it's sort of, I don't know if I'm getting free spins here or not. That's part of this mode. Nothing exciting has come out of that as yet. Cool, different graphics scrolling around in the background. Really quite well done, the graphics on here though. Really nice. Quite bizarre music. Okay, now it stopped, so it's waiting for more. So I didn't get much out of that. Here we go. It's still staying on that same music though, so it's sort of like I've changed modes. This is sort of what happened to me last time when things started happening. It's almost like it's a sort of progressive thing. This is the bizarre thing, is just trying to learn. I can't get any balls in there now. Just change my handle a little bit. Bouncing around. It's quite hypnotic. It's quite hypnotic. But I think there's different sorts of gamers actually that are going to come into the arcade and really enjoy this. I mean, I know it's going to be in a slightly awkward location sitting behind the couch there. You'll have to sort of kneel on the couch to play it, but I think it can hold quite a bit of attention, especially when it starts going into its different modes. And even the fact that it's quite hard to get into those modes, it's not a bad thing, because it sort of makes it more exciting when something crazy happens. Tell you what, I would have gone through a lot of balls right now. But for no win. Wow. Now I'm guessing that it's 100 balls a minute. I'm not actually sure. It's probably about right. Alright guys, well, I don't think we'll continue on playing with this one. What I'm going to do though, oh look at that, as he says that. Flicks into a mode. Let's see if we get anything different here. Because the thing is, you really do have to play for quite some time. Oh, doves flying across. Get anything? No. And you can get like diagonals in here as well. So what I'll do now is I'll actually flick across. I'll bring up some iPhone footage I took, so it's a little bit sketchy. So please excuse that. I'll just flick it up now, and let's just sit back and just have a listen to and look at just some of the modes that this thing actually flicks into. I'll give you a little sneak peek. Let's take a look. So there you go. What do you think of the new Pachinko machine? It's pretty awesome, eh? I reckon it's pretty awesome. For me, it sort of ticks a whole load of boxes for a ideal machine to have in your arcade. It's Japanese. Japanese are just, you know, they're the grandfathers of video games. In my mind, they're it. I mean, I know there was some players in the States with Ralph Baer and Nolan Bushnell with Atari and so forth, kicking it off over in the US. But yeah, what Taito did and you know, the other major manufacturers and going through into people like Sega and so forth, they're just, it's just legendary stuff. So I love having stuff from Japanese culture that's arcade related. So this really fits that bill. The other thing is the LEDs. The LEDs are crazy. And as you know, I love having all my coloured lights in the arcade, so a little bit of more flash is always good in my books. And of course, this now can go where this is, which I'm a little bit disappointed because I spent a lot of time getting that up there. So really hacking great bolts on the wall to hold that there. So I'm going to move that. I'm going to go to over the top of the Sega Blast City, and then it will be stationed there, so it will have a nice impact when you come into the room. And what else? It's a slot machine at the end of the day as well. You know, it's got the slots going for it, and then of course you've got, you know, mini ball bearings. It's like mini pinballs. It's not a huge amount of skill, admittedly, but there is some skill there. And then of course it's the anime and the Transformer-like theme of this particular one, with this anime series that's quite well known, which is off the back of the Aquarion. I don't know a lot about it, to be honest. I have researched a little bit on it, but clearly it's one of Japan's key anime series. And you know, it's got animatronics in there as well. Basic animatronics, but it has got animatronics in there. And it's a complex little thing, hey, it really is. It's surprisingly complex once you really look at it. So a lot of engineering has gone into it, given that these have been used in the, you know, to get around the gambling laws in Japan for so long, where people will use these in the parlours, get their ball bearings, and once they win more ball bearings, and they can change it in for a prize like plastic gold bars or something like that, which are very specifically designed, and take them over the road and swap them out for cash. So it's a huge multi-billion yen industry that is behind these machines, and because of that, all the manufacturers want to get in on it. And a lot of them have spent a lot of time, money and research in creating very engaging, effectively gambling machines. So yeah, I'm falling in love with them. I think, you know, they are a simplistic thing. I think they're a nice little novelty to have in the arcade. For other people when they come over, it's something cool and different for them to play. So that works really, really well. Will I really sit in front of it and play it constantly again and again? I don't know. I mean, I have actually sat down and played it like one evening just for hours, like 2 hours, just flicking away. And it just seems to have, it has a whole lot of depth in there, eh? There's just so many things that it does. And I'm still learning and trying to figure out how it works and all the different modes and different ways of winning. So it is really, really cool. The other thing is that I've worked it out here. I can get 3 across. You need to know where this is going. 3 across, and then 3 across above it. And of course, you could still turn the knob, even if they were above. I could have at some stage up to 6 Pachinko machines on that back wall. Wouldn't that be crazy? I'd have to lose the poster, of course, but that would be insane. And there are some pretty amazing, cool themed Pachinkos that are available now, like Indiana Jones, The Matrix, Tomb Raider. Yeah, there's a few Star Wars. There's a few cool ones there that I think actually would even fit in with the movie theme of this corner. So I don't think that's going to be something I'm going to be actively pursuing in the short term, but that's going to be my long-term vision for this wall. I will build it up with the pachinko machines. That would be a long-term goal, but I think it's going to really fit in nicely with the arcade. What do you guys think? Do you think I've gone crazy now? So the pachinko machines? I reckon that would be cool in Australia, just seeing them at an arcade actually. Maybe some of these people that are setting up barcades can think about squeezing a few in there and check out the interest. I think it'd be pretty cool. Well guys, I think I will have another game on the old pachinko there, and of course for that I'm going to need some ball bearings. Now I do believe like normally they're a good, 2 to 4 cents or something a ball bearing. 2 cents? I don't know. But listen, if you could chuck me some coinage, just to get me a few ball bearings to have another flick, then wow, I really struggled there. I really struggled to get the ball bearings into the monetary amount of 20 cents. It's the second time I've stuffed that up at the end, guys. Second time. Anyway, I need some coinage. Have you got a 20?
Fight like a robot.